and you get another 6 weeks of lockdown, and you get another 6 weeks of lockdown, and congratulations, you get another 6 weeks of lockdown. Everybody getting more 6 weeks of lockdown, yeah! Hi everyone and welcome back to another episode of Dan Studios, where we bring you the latest news in a short and informative format, and of course in the comfort of a studio. Now, in order to comply with the government's wishes, we here at Dan Studios have decided to self-isolate, which is why, as everybody can see, we are still recording this in my living room and not in the studio. Maybe we should change the name of this channel to Dan's Room instead of Dan's Studio. Now before we get into today's content, please remember to subscribe, punch that like button and turn on this notification bell so that you can receive your news and informative content as soon as it releases from our channel, so you can create the latest news in a fast and fantastic way. So please remember to hit those buttons. Alright, let's get into today's show. Now, I'm at a literal loss of words. I don't know what to say or think anymore. The whole situation here in Melbourne seems to be getting worse and worse and worse, when in fact it should be getting better. Now, what the hell is going on, people? What the hell is going on? I do not understand. I cannot wrap my head around. Now, from 6 p.m. on Sunday the 3rd of August, all of metropolitan Melbourne has been plunged into a stage 4 restrictions and stage 4 lockdown.
Stage 4 is here, our COVID hell far from over. Victoria is this very minute entering a state of disaster, and all of Melbourne will be under a strict curfew from 8 o'clock tonight as the way we shop and exercise is limited even further. It comes after another day of disastrous numbers, 671 cases, 7 deaths and an exploding number of mystery infections, leaving the Premier with no choice but to pull the trigger. Andrew Lund begins our coverage.
Melburnians were preparing for the worst. There were long queues outside shops as the Premier took drastic action.
From 6 p.m. tonight, I am declaring a state of disaster.
And with that, major changes to life in Melbourne.
From 8 p.m. tonight, a curfew will be implemented. So there will be a curfew across metropolitan Melbourne from 8 p.m. this evening.
For the next 6 weeks, that curfew will be enforced between 8 p.m. and 5 a.m. The only exemptions for not being at home will be work, caregiving, medical and compassionate grounds.
There's some shock and awe here for people to genuinely understand that it's a super challenging phase that we're in.
Exercise will now be restricted to just 1 hour per day, with one other person within 5 kilometres of home. Shopping will also be limited to just one person per household once per day within 5 kilometres of home.
Now this includes a curfew going from 8 p.m. all the way to 5 a.m. each night. Now this prevents people from leaving their houses unless it is for work, giving or receiving care, or even visiting a partner. It's a shame I don't have a partner, so I don't have anyone to visit or visit me. Now, like what? We've gotten to the point where we need to have a curfew? Now what are we? Are we teenagers that needs to, have a curfew to make sure we're not out at night doing dangerous things or getting into trouble? How hard was it to just follow some simple rules that now the government feels like they have to enforce a curfew on us? Even when I was growing up, a young little Asian Dan roaming the streets of Melbourne, I didn't have a curfew. But now as an adult, I have to abide by a curfew set by the government. And if I don't do that, I will lose money. What? Now us Melbourne residents are now only allowed to shop and exercise within a 5-kilometre radius of our own homes. Now I can't even go past 5 kilometers now. What if I don't have any shops within 5 kilometers? What if I want to go out for a run and run more than 5 kilometers? Not to say I can't. But what if I want to? If I want to run more than 5 kilometers, do I have to just run the same 2 kilometers 4 times and get to the amount of kilometers I want to run? And apart from that, we're only limited to being able to go outside and exercise for 1 hour a day. 1 hour. I need more than that. I would like to exercise for at least 1 hour and 20 minutes. Precisely. Not a minute over, not a minute less. Students are now also to return back to remote learning, returning home once again to slack off and to pretend to study for school when let's be honest, everyone is just playing games and totally not focusing on their schoolwork. Because if I was like that, I'm pretty sure the majority of students would also be doing that. And also, kids these days have more like devices and ways and methods to be able to slack off. When back then, when I was growing up, we didn't really have as much as the kids have these days. So it's obviously easier for these kids to stray their focus and go off into some other dimension that nobody's ever seen before. Now, these new restrictions, these new, much harder stage 4 restrictions, where it basically feels like I'm on house arrest, will last another 6 weeks going into September. Another 6 weeks. I mean, come on. We were barely halfway through the first 6 weeks of lockdown, and now we've been extended for a longer period for a much stricter basis. We should have just done the straight stage 4 lockdown restrictions from the very beginning, because obviously people will be so stupid and selfish and not following the original rules in place, and now life has just gotten so much harder, and everybody is suffering. Where we could have had to just tough it out for another 3 weeks and we would have been fine. But no, we've gone in for another 6 weeks from today. Now the one thing I find really hard to understand is why can't people just start following the very simple guidelines that the government has already set? Now there's something I don't really understand, and there's something I would really like a bit of clarity on, is just why can't people just follow the extremely simple guidelines that the government has set? Don't you think it's a little bit unfair for those like me who have followed the rules from the very beginning to be shut down countlessly and brought back into lockdown where we're not even doing anything? It's like we're on a little seesaw, you know, you go up and you go, I'm almost there, but then you get brought back down. You go up on the seesaw and you go, I'm almost there, and then you get brought back down. It's just so unfair. Like, I just want to go just a time, but I can't just So as a constant reminder, I want to continue to remind everyone that the coronavirus is a very, very serious issue. We should be compliant with what the government is asking us, as social distancing continues to prove to be the best weapon against the virus. Now, I know life in the next couple of months are going to be extremely, extremely tough, but we need to tough it out so we can get to an eventually better future. Now, please remember to avoid crowded areas, and always remember to maintain a good level of hygiene. Always remember to wash your hands, hand sanitize, and wear a face mask. If you don't want to get called for fine, always wear a face mask. Yeah, I'm your host, Dan. I hope everyone has a lovely week, and remember to stay safe, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye!